Yes, people, welcome back to Coffee and a Chat. We're back with another interview, and today we have Obed on the show. Obed, thank you for coming on, bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on your channel, man.
Appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. So, listen, let me get the boring stuff out of the way. I'm still new to all of this, but please like, comment, subscribe. Join us on our journey. We're trying to grow Coffee and a Chat into a whole new platform, a whole new podcast show. So come and join us. So we have Obed on the show today. Please introduce yourself.
So I go by the name Obed Donkoh. I'd like to call myself a multifaceted being.
Nice.
Reason being is because, depending on how you've encountered me, you either know me as by Obed, Flo, Kofi, or maybe something else. So yeah, that's me in short.
Nice, man. I think when you have those completely different aliases that people might have encountered you, I think it's really interesting and we're going to learn about that. But with your current content online, what is it all about? Like how have you built that following online?
So I've just, over the years, I've just kind of built a presence online through just telling my story of like who I am, where I've come from, and to the man that I am today. So I feel like people have just resonated with that journey, resonated that transition of coming from a very dark place into doing, I'd say amazing things, or inspiring the youth, and using my story as a testimony to show other people that you can actually change your life and come from a very dark, gloomy, poverty, adversity, trauma, violence, crime, all the things you can think of, to then thinking in terms of prosperity, wealth, abundance, living a joyful life, health, prioritizing my health, all of those things. And it's like people just resonate with that transition, and so I've built a following of that, just being myself, literally being me. I don't think my content has I guess the niche is me. Yeah.
It's interesting, I saw you on the very start of your TikTok journey. I'm not going to say from the first video, but I think very early on, a couple of years ago, and I think what you say, that resonating with you, your story, I was definitely one of those people. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show and to tell your story to a new audience as well, hopefully. So before we get into it, we're going to do a little get to know Obed section, yeah? So I've got a bunch of different things that we're going to ask you, question you about. So let's see. We're going to start off with quick fire questions first. And first question is, what's your dream?
Ooh, my dream is to, I guess, that's a good question.
It's a thinker. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Just seeing my family happy.
Nice, man.
Nice. I guess the ultimate goal, my ultimate dream would just to be smiles on every single one of my family's faces, because we really come up tough, we really come up hard, and I feel like, I don't like saying money is the root of like happiness. It does bring some sort of happiness, but I feel like, maybe if we had a different type of upbringing, those smiles would have been prevalent throughout my upbringing. So I'd say happiness, seeing my whole family happy.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
That's almost what we all want at the end of the day, right? Okay, so number 2. What advice would you give to someone who hasn't chased their dream? So in your instance, you're chasing it. You're trying to do this and do that to make your family happy. But what advice would you give to someone who hasn't chased their dream?
I'd say you're sleeping on yourself and you're playing yourself big time. That's it. I'd say you're depriving yourself of your true happiness by not chasing your dreams. And if you're not chasing your dreams, you're living another man's dream or another person's dream. So I'd say go out and make it happen, man. 100.
I like it. What's one quote or message that you live by?
Ooh.
That's probably too many.
Yeah, I got a few, but I feel like, through all the adversity that I've, faced during my upbringing, one quote, I've actually made it up myself, but it's like, there'd be no interesting story to tell if there was no adversity. Like, a lot of people look at stories and think like, this story is like, this is the maddest story I've heard and all of that stuff. And it's all interesting because there was adverse involved within that story. Wow. And I always say there'd be no interesting story to tell if there was no adversity. So adversity is part of the, you becoming that interesting person, you becoming having that interesting story, because we all have our own stories. I'm sure you've got your own as well. And so overcoming that adversity is what makes the story so interesting. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
I knew it was going to be a deep one. You're someone who likes to travel. and go on holidays. So
Yeah.
what's one place you can't wait to go back to, and what's one place that you can't wait to go to that you haven't been before?
Ooh.
So it's 2 in 1.
So Thailand, I went Thailand, I think May, and I just had an absolute blast. Like the country is just so amazing. Like the people there, the food there, like just the energy, the overall energy of Thailand is just so, it's so infectious. And it's somewhere that I want to visit again, definitely, but I want to go there with when I get my shooty.
Alright.
Because I want to do some island hopping. So I saved the island hopping. I was like, nah, when I come back again, with my shorty, then I'll do the island hopping. So yeah, that's why I want to go back there. And would you say somewhere that I want to go to?
That you haven't been before?
Ooh, I say South Africa. South Africa, I want to go South Africa. I'm actually going there next year. My boys booked it for my birthday, so.
Nice,
but I genuinely want to go, and they knew that. That's how they booked it. So, yeah, I'd say South Africa, man.
I'm gonna send that clip to my boys and
Gotta do better,
a couple
boys.
places I want to go still. That's nice. What's your GOAT in any field? Who's your GOAT?
Ooh. Messi. I'd say Messi's my GOAT still. I'll go for Messi still.
He's
You're CR7. So you're
No, Messi still.
Yeah,
Messi
Messi,
still.
man.
Messi still.
Say Messi. Messi's my GOAT, man.
Yeah, proper. That World Cup, I think, solidified himself as the greatest to
100%,
ever live,
bro.
the greatest to ever do it. All right. Whose story are you inspired by and why?
Oh, that's a good question again.
Got to make you think for these, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna be thinking. Whose story am I inspired by? Who inspires me? It's a good question, man. I'm gonna have to think about that one, you know?
We can come back to it.
Yeah.
If there's one word to describe you, what would it be?
Inspirational.
Inspirational.
Yeah.
All right, so we're walking through a busy High Park, but Obed, for the next section of Get to Know You, it's blind ranking these holiday destinations.
Yeah.
And the first one is Greece.
Greece. I'll put Greece 4th.
You're not a big fan of Greece, though?
Nah, I like Greece. But I know there's more coming. I know there's better coming.
Ghana.
Number 1. Easy.
Only right. Next one is Dubai.
Dubai. I'll put Dubai. Just came back from Dubai as well. I'll put Dubai 3rd.
3rd, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. We have Thailand next.
2nd.
It's only right.
Yeah, 2nd, man.
You're talking about it highly.
Exactly.
And then last one to wrap it up is Bulgaria.
5th, easy.
5th,
Easy,
bottom
easy,
of the leaderboard.
But I did have a good time in Bulgaria, but you know.
It can't rank to the others, yeah?
It can't compare to the others, man.
Nice. And so Obed, to wrap it up, we got some conversational questions. Recently I was in Ibiza, chatting with my boy at the villa, and I had a question for him, so it'd be interesting to hear your perspective. Do you think you can have a purpose in life? And if so, what is yours?
Ooh. I feel like yes. I feel like definitely. I feel like everyone has a purpose. Whether you know your purpose or not is a whole different thing. But like everyone's got a purpose for sure. I feel like we all have creative abilities, and when the ability to use those creative abilities, and essentially make the world a better place, make yourself better, and reap the rewards of your creative abilities. I feel like that's you living in your purpose, and I feel like yes. No, man. I feel like, what was the question? Am I living in my purpose? Or
What is your purpose?
what is my purpose? I feel like my purpose is I feel like the upbringing that I've had, once again, to the man that I've become is a testimony in itself. And I feel like it's my duty to share that and help change the lives of people using that, using my creative abilities, which is being able to speak. Because obviously I used to rap. So this is just a different outlet now. Me going online and speaking on social media, it's just a completely different outlet. I'm still using my voice and using this, I don't know. I've always had this thing where it's like when I speak, people just take me in. I don't know what it is, innit? So even when I used to rap, people would take me in. So now it's like, you know, I guess you can see the raw authenticity through my message. And so, messages. And so, yeah, I'd say that.
Nice, man. I like it. And you've been involved in a lot of business ventures, a bunch of them over the years, which we're going to delve into. But what do you think's been the biggest lesson that you've learned in business?
Cash flow and patience. I used to be that guy where it's like I liked lump sums of money. So obviously, like, I made a lot of money in crypto a few years back, and I thought that was it. You know, I'm gone. No one's talking to me. I've hit a lick. I'm gone. You know, I put all my savings into, you know, some crypto coins. It blew up. I made over 6 figures. I was like 22. I was like, I'm gone. Yeah, that's me. You slowly realize that it's not about that. And I had like, obviously my creative agency. We'll get into all of that after. Yeah. My creative agency, and it was making me some nice cash flow or whatnot. But cash flow, you need cash flow coming from all different angles, basically. Cash flow is important in a business, and you need the cash flow to keep churning in. Lump sums of money is nice. Cash flow is always important in any business. So, yeah. Interesting.
So that was the get to know Obed section. But what we're doing now is we're going to go into the interview, and I want to start off with one thing, yeah?
Yeah.
And I want to know what it means to you. Risk taker.
Risk taker.
What
does risk taking mean to me?
Yeah.
Risk
Being
taking
a risk
means
taker, just the phrase risk taker.
I guess putting everything on the line and just taking a jump for it. That's all I envision in my mind. I just envision just forgetting everything you know and just taking a deep plunge into whatever it is that you want to do. If it pays off, it pays off. If it doesn't, you've learned a lesson.
And that's the big thing. It's always learning from those moments where you have ups and downs and trying to build from it. What does, you know, how do you, I think it's like a big part of your life, risk taking, and it's a big part of all these different ventures that you've gone into. But what makes you not shy of taking risks and being able to put yourself out there? Because it's not easy.
Yeah, of course. I feel like I'm going to keep bringing my upbringing into this because, like, to understand what I'm trying to say, you have to understand where I'm coming from. And so my upbringing was harsh. Like, I had a harsh upbringing, harsh reality, all of that stuff I mentioned before: crime, violence, trauma, poverty, deprivation, all that stuff. And so when you see all of that stuff and you grow up with it from young, everything ahead of you becomes a mere hurdle. Like, it's just, you know, if I could just take this risk, you know, it could just change my life. Or if I could just start this business and reap the rewards, if I could just. So I feel like everything I've ever done is if I could just. And so with that mentality, I've always progressed. It's a progressive mentality because it's like, if I could just.
If I could just. If I could just.
That's the best way that I can explain it, you know, because, yeah, I guess that's what risk taking, or like, that's why I've become this person, because I never really had much growing up. So everything ahead of me is nice. Like, I'm looking through the scope of life as like a little kid, like, and everything to me is just new. I remember the first time I went out traveling, from university or whatnot. The first time I travelled by myself was in university with my friends and that. And then I was just looking at everything in Tenerife, like, in awe. Like, I was just surprised at everything. I was like, this whole life is out here and people are still in the ends. And it's like, it just conditions your mind. And so I was like a little baby in a sweet shop, just enjoying the fruits of life. And it just goes back to what I was saying. Like, if I could just make this business pop off, if I could just take this risk. And so, like, for me, when you got nothing to lose, everything ahead of you is just like, if I could just.
If I could just. So, I absolutely love that. I absolutely love it. Yeah. Well, let's talk about it. You know, when you have those moments where you're taking those risks, if I could just. Within everyone's journey, there's ups and downs. Yeah. How do you react when the down comes? And how do you overcome those downs? That's a good way of putting it.
I guess, once again, it's like when you've seen rock bottom, the rock bottom that you're feeling once you've started something and it doesn't work can't compare to, you know, the trauma that you felt in your upbringing. Like, it can't compare. These are two different feelings. One is you've tried something and it might not have gone so well, but you're still optimistic that it can do well.
Absolutely.
And I feel like it's that element of delusion. It's that element of delusion that I've carried from young, that I can do something, even when I might not be able to see it, And I feel like I've always been a dreamer, to be fair. I've always been a dreamer. So even when I do hit rock bottom, I still have other dreams. I still, you know, I see myself just doing great things. And it just stems from where I've come from. Literally, it's like, if I can go through all of that, everything ahead of me is just a mere hurdle once again. And yeah, I feel like, I don't know if I'm answering your question right, but
you are. I think what I see with you as well is that there's a lot of self-belief and there's a lot of ability that regardless if things work out, if they don't, they're eventually going to click.
Yeah.
I have that similar mentality. There's a quote that I love, I absolutely love it, and I don't know if it maybe is reflected in your life as well, but it's called Progress, Not Perfection.
Okay.
It's about whether you succeed at something and make it this big success, or even if you don't, there's still that element of you're making progress, you're trying new things and doing it. So I think it links to you a lot. Let's revert it back to the childhood and let's revert it back to your early years. I really like to try and understand the person. So tell me where you grew up and what I guess your early years were like.
Yeah. So I grew up in a place called Newham, East London. Do you know, have you heard of Newham, East London?
Of course, bro, of course.
It's very dark. It's a very crazy place. And I grew up in a family entrenched in gang. So my whole background is just like entrenched in gangs and violence and that was my upbringing. So I grew up in a very small town in East London. Went to a school not too far from where I lived as well.
You talk about school. What were school years like? What kind of kid were you at school?
I was a good kid, you know.
Yeah?
I was a good kid. I was a good kid in school. I wasn't troublesome or anything. Like, I don't know why a lot of people feel like I was troublesome in school. I wasn't a troublesome kid. I was actually a very good kid.
Yeah.
I tried to stay out of trouble where I could. When trouble did like arise, because you know when you grow up in an area like that, trouble is due to catch up to you. Like I said, my family is entrenched in gangs and like you know they're quite. Let's just call it that. And so whenever trouble did arise, it was always like, you know, don't worry about that. You don't need to do all of that. We got you. Yeah, so I was just a good kid. I was literally a good kid and they always made sure that I stayed on the right path. They always made sure that, you know, I stayed on the straight and narrow and I stayed in my books. And so I try and speak this gospel to my friends around me because we're all grow up, like you grow up in an area like that. You know, you got people joining gangs, you got people, you know, jumping out of school, doing all these things. And so I try and speak to them and I try and speak to my boys and tell them like, you know, this is what I've been told from, you know, my family. Like, let's not do this. Like, let's stay on the straight and narrow. But not everyone's gonna listen, and you know, you don't wanna. Yeah, not everyone's going to listen to you, and so I just stuck to what I knew, despite everything that I was going through. I just, you know, stayed on that path, and then, yeah, like even when my mum passed away, like I had every force around me to go the wrong route. Like every single force around me to go the wrong route. But I just kept on staying on that straight. And I made a promise to my mother as well. And yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna delve into the promise to my mother. I think it's so fascinating. I really admire that you were able to always, you know, stay on the straighter path now, straight on it and be able to do it. What do you think you were putting it down to? It was just that commitment to want to do the right thing, be good, and to make a success out of yourself.
I mean, it's a good question. I feel like when you grow up in that type of environment, that harsh environment, gang violence and all of that stuff, and you're told not to do all of that, and you're told to just stay on the straight and narrow, you're gonna listen because they're doing it. You know, they're involved in all of that and they're telling you not to do it. So why am I not going to listen? It's obvious that what I'm currently doing is better.
Yes.
And it's these things that you're told from young. Like you hear elders tell youngers, "Oh, stay in school" or whatnot. But like some of them don't listen because I don't know why they don't listen. But I was just that kid. I was like, okay, cool. You're telling me to do this, and you lot are heavily involved in this. I'm going to listen. And yeah, does that answer your question? It does.
It's interesting that you actually listen because I remember my mum would always tell me, "Hey, be good in school. Don't be a little idiot."
Yeah.
But I was silly, and I think it still lives with me today, that silly side, even though I was able to fix it up.
Yeah.
What was school like with the mandem? You know, after school and that, were you a baller? Were you kicking ball, or like what was your thing?
No, so I was actually rapping actually.
Okay.
So I was rapping, as I mentioned before, I was rapping. So my early years, I was rapping from young, like from primary school, like rapping in the playground, spitting all these bars. So like I had like a notebook where I'd write all my bars, and then I'd go home. My older brother, my younger brother would just be rehearsing it in my room. My older brother's boys would come around. Well, we're just rapping. I don't know if you know like Screwface and Stimpy. Remember them beats?
Yes.
All them beats, all them grand beats. We'd just be rapping, and so that's how I like cultivated the skill of like music. I started rapping from a young age. And so even within school, that's what I was doing. So I was known as a rapper, like, and alongside school. But then, like I said, my family is heavily entrenched in gang. So it's like, I knew that, okay, this path that I'm going down, it's either I go down the route of another path, or I carry on rapping and I get myself involved in, you know, a life that I didn't necessarily want to get involved in. So
yes.
it was you know, you choose between the two. You can't have both. Because if I try and do both, and who my family is, it can catch up to me very quickly.
I hear you.
And so I had to be that wise teenager and make these crucial decisions, because that's a crucial life decision. You know, because if I was to choose one path, I probably wouldn't be having this conversation with you today. I'd probably be in jail. I'd probably be somewhere else. Like, I don't even want to, you know, speak that into existence, but it's a very real situation and decision that I had to make at that age. And so I chose business. So I used to rap. That was me. That was my upbringing throughout school. So I was known as a rapper.
Nice.
Balling, football. Yeah, I used to kick it, but like my main thing was rap. I was a musician. Everyone knew me as a rapper.
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about the rap career then. You know, you were doing it from how young would you say, like 14-ish, or was it even earlier than that?
Yeah, so I was like primary school. How old are you in primary school? I'd say
Tell a lie, primary school?
Yeah. I was spitting in primary school. Literally primary school playground.
Like 10, 11
Let's
years
say I was like
old.
9, 10, yeah.
Wow.
So I was rapping from them. Like, I had my notebook, rehearsing with my brother. So I was pretty good. Like, I was not even pretty good. I was actually good, you know.
Yeah.
I had so many different freestyles, so many different songs. I took all of them off YouTube. So you wouldn't even find. You probably find a few, but like I was young. The ones that you'd find, I was young. So yeah.
That's the thing. You were doing music from young, and you could even tell that with your way of words now, it was probably reflected in the music as well. So talk about it. When did you? So you stopped music before you went to university?
Yes. So when my mum passed away, basically, I was just at home, not doing much. My older brother would always get onto me, be like, "Oh, come on, man, you're moving like a bum. Like, mum wouldn't want to see you do this." And obviously, like he's obviously involved in all of that, innit? And so, like, he didn't want me to go down that route. So he always, you know, encouraged me to stay on a straight. Always encouraged me. And so when I'm not doing that, there's a problem. Because,
sure.
yeah, so he'd always encourage that. And he's like, you know, encouraged me to go sixth form or whatnot. So I wasn't going in because obviously my mum passed away or whatnot. And I just didn't really want to go. I didn't feel like it. And obviously, as you wouldn't, you just kind of give up on life, really. And so I wasn't going in, and also like behind my house to go to sixth form in general, like, a lot of people were dying there. A lot of young people were dying and losing their lives there. I know a few of them that lost their lives, and so it was just highly dangerous. And once again, the family that I come from, it's not easy to just go sixth form, go and walk the street and go sixth form and come back in the evening like it's all hunky-dory. It wasn't like that. You can actually lose your life. Like, it's a very real situation. So with that now, I made a call to my uncle. I said, okay, cool. Long story short, I made a call to my uncle. I said, cool, like, I'm coming to live with you outside of London, and I want to change my life, basically, because if I stay here, I will end up on roads. Like, I will end up on the road, and I will. Like, it was inevitable. So I made a call, and then I moved. I stayed out there for 2 years. The 2 years that I stayed out there, I went college, and I was still rapping in between. But then that's when I came to a decision, and I said, it's either I carry on rapping or I'll go uni and just find a different path and start business or whatnot. It was literally, I was sitting there, I remember I was sitting on my uncle's bed and I was speaking to my boy Nutty, and I was like, but Nutty, like, this is something that I've been doing for a long time. I've been doing it my whole life, literally, like I've explained to you. I've been doing it as a kid. And I can imagine, like, you see how footballers or whatnot, like, they've been doing it from a young age, and obviously where some of them don't make it pro, it's the same type of feeling.
Yes.
Because I was really good. Like, I was in cyphers with, like, you know, one of the hardest under 18s. Like, you don't jump in those cyphers for no reason. Like, I was good, you know, like, And I'd like to say I carried some influence within the scene because I was rapping from ages.
Yes,
you know, and I used to see a few of my what do you call these ad-libs? Not ad-libs. What's them things that like you see when the rappers, they have them like them signatures that they go by, like when they're rapping, like, oh, I couldn't even give you an example.
It's not an ad-lib, no?
Yeah, let's call it ad-lib. Yeah, it's an ad-lib. Yeah. And so I think it's an ad-lib, yeah. But so I'd say my influence was somewhat prevalent throughout the scene in those years. Anyways, so I made a decision. I was like, yeah, so like Nutty, like, you know, this is something I've been doing. She's like, bro, you're just, it's a talent, bro. It's because you've cultivated it over all these years. But like, if you put your mind to something else, you can do that as well. Because he like, although he was also passionate about my dream of music as well, he saw firsthand what it had done, the path that it could potentially lead to. And so he didn't want that for me. And that's like my brother, my close brother. Yeah. You know, so I listened to him. And yeah, and we decided to just change our name. So obviously I was going by the name Flo at the time, Insane Flo. And that's what everyone knew me by. Everyone knew me as Flo. And so I said, or Obed, you know, but I said, you know, going to university, if I'm going to take this fresh start, I need everything to be fresh. And that's how, like, for you to change your name, that should show you how serious everything was around me. You know, I wanted to change my name and give myself a fresh start. Yeah. And so that's when I decided to go university, change my name to Kofi, and yeah.
Interesting. Why Kofi? Like, why did you change your name? Like, a big part of needing that fresh start and wanting to...
It was out of desperation, man. I desperately needed to change my life, like, you know, and I don't say that lightly because, like, I'm trying to, like, show you the picture of how serious everything was. You know, when you're trying to run away from something and you're changing your name, it should show you, you know, the harsh reality of the life the upbringing that I had. You know, so we both decided to change our names. So obviously he was going by another name at the time. Besides Nutty, obviously he's Gov. But then he went by Idris. Obviously that's still his name. I think it's like his middle name or something. But I didn't know him as Idris. So he went by Idris, and I went by Kofi. And then we set off to university for a fresh start. He went work. I went University of Birmingham. And so yeah, everyone in university was literally calling me Kofi. It took a while to adapt. At first it was like, you know, I'd be stuttering. Like, people were like, oh, what's your name? And I'm thinking, should I say Flo? Should I say Obed? Should I say Kofi? So like, I'm quivering at the lips, literally, and I'm like, Kofi. And then they're like, you're right. Like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Like, my name's Kofi. It's Kofi. Nice to meet you. And so when they start calling me Kofi or whatnot, it's like, it didn't register straight away. So people would be like, Kofi. And I'll be like, oh yeah, talking to me. Do you get what I mean? And then from there, it just slowly became natural to obviously call me Kofi, and yeah, I just kind of adapted to it. And it was just so strange because when people from my uni would come back, you know, and meet my people from Newham or the ends or whatnot, they'd call me Kofi. They'd be like, who's Kofi? What, Flo? Are they calling you Kofi? So it was like, it's crazy, like, but you have to do what you have to do. And that's a message that I preach on my socials as well. Like, if you're really trying to make a change, you need to move drastic with it. There has to be it has to be a harsh transition. It's not something easy. Like, getting up and leaving the ends is not an easy thing to do. If it was easy, then everyone would be doing it. You know, but it's not an easy thing to do. That's why you see a lot of young people, they succumb to the nature of the hood, and they make it their reality because it's easy to do that. That's the easy route. The hard thing is to go university or to meet new people, and take that risk. That's very, very hard. And so,
yeah, exactly. It's got to have a lot of admiration. And I think that it links again to, as we just said, risk taker. Yeah, trying something new, being willing to put yourself out there. So you studied at University of Birmingham?
Yeah.
Bubs? Nice, man, nice. Some of my closest brothers are from Birmingham still. Really? Yeah. So what was it like at uni or Burbs? Like,
it was a great experience. Honestly, that place changed my life. Yeah, literally.
Amazing.
Even in terms of, like, because I went to university with a mouthful of slang. Like, the way I talk today and the way I conduct myself is completely different from how I used to speak back in the day. Like, I couldn't even speak how I spoke back in the day right now. Like, it'd feel weird. Like, it's not a part of me no more because I don't speak like that. I don't need to speak like that. And when I hear people speaking like that, and I try to speak, like, it just doesn't come out of me naturally.
It's not natural.
It's not natural anymore. Wow, but that's a good transition, right?
Absolutely.
It's good. So when I was in university, I'd stutter a lot, and you know, I was a bit insecure, I'm not gonna lie, because everyone around me was from grammar schools, private schools, and all of that stuff. So I had a lot of imposter syndrome. Like, people would be like, oh, like, what'd you get in GCSEs? Oh, I got all A stars. Not me, them. So like, I got all A stars, and you know, I'm hearing all these girls and all these guys, everyone's got A stars around me. Did I even get one A star? I didn't get one A star, you know, but I still done well enough to get into the University of Birmingham. But there was that imposter syndrome and like that feeling of like, I shouldn't really be here. And I remember one of my boys, Ethan, my close brother right now, he was like, of course you're meant to be here. You wouldn't be here if you didn't, you know, if you didn't work as hard enough or whatnot. He was like, look at you, you're around all these types of people that come from, you know, like these amazing upbringings, and you know, you fought your way to get here, so you deserve to be here. And like that sat with me throughout my whole university experience. But
as it should.
Yeah, like there was a lot of imposter syndrome, but ultimately it changed my life. It made me have a different scope on life, and I feel like that was so important for me because I never had that. I never had that. I didn't know people who went private schools. I didn't know people who traveled. You know, we didn't travel where I'm from. Like no one travels. Like so, I wasn't seeing life. I didn't enjoy the fruits of life like how they were enjoying it. Like these that were adventurous. I was just always trying to. You know, I never used to go to university like those freshers events or anything. I was just kept myself to myself.
Good.
And I feel like that's how your upbringing kind of shapes you. Like it makes you socially anxious. It makes you keep to yourself. Like you don't trust people a lot. So overall, university was an amazing experience. Yeah, I passed with a 2-1. It was meant to be a first class, but that's another story for another day.
I think it's almost about reaching the end of the journey.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't say it lightly when you said it really did change your life. You know,
No,
and how it had such a big impact for you.
Yeah, at all. That was like that transition, that risk that I took when I was on the phone to Nutty and I said I'm going to choose university. That risk there was highly rewarding. Like I could not explain to you. Like I don't think I'd be where I am, us having this conversation, you know, because like I said before, you know, there'd be no interesting story to tell if there was no adversity. If I didn't go through what I went through and then desperately try to change my life and seek another path, my story wouldn't be interesting. I'd probably still be in the hood doing all those things that I was indulging in, still be in the same old, you know, flow, you know, and I guess, yeah, it changed my life. The people that I met, even jogging, for example, my boy Ethan, he used to wake up and jog. He used to be like, yeah, I go for jogs. I was like, jog? Like, I looked at him like he was strange.
Yeah.
And then I started jogging and I was like, this feels good. And then I carried on doing it. And then now I'm doing 15Ks. I'm jogging 15Ks, 5Ks, like breakfast for me. It's easy.
Nice.
So it's like, change happens over time, and I feel like a lot of people just want it now. We live in a microwave generation where everyone wants things now.
You want
quick results. But this has taken me a long time to, you know, become the man I am today, and you know, even have a smile on my face. I look different. There's so many things I could touch on. Like even look different when you start feeling different. Like I look at some of my old Snapchat videos and stuff. Like my face looked a bit bulky. Like I looked big. I looked spotty. I didn't look right. Like I looked like there was something wrong with me. You know. Like I wasn't smiling or anything, like I was an angry kid. But I could see that through myself now. But like you couldn't tell me, like back then you couldn't tell me that I was angry. Like I thought I was happy and normal, but like looking back, I was an angry kid. I was upset. I was going through some experiences, and obviously me just looking, I didn't look right. And I can look at myself back and say like, you didn't look right. You didn't look right. There was something wrong. And yeah.
It's amazing how you can look back at yourself and look back at those years and really see the development. It's amazing. That's the blessing that we have with our phones and what previous generations didn't have.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about university, I think I've got a younger brother, 17 years old.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to go to uni, he thinks it's a waste of time, TikTok generation. But let's talk about it. Why do you think it's still important for people to go down that route in terms of education, growth? And would you still, if you could go back to being 18, 19 years old, would you still do it again?
Yeah, I mean, I would, definitely, because I was looking at it as a scope of, this is a place that I can change my life and meet new people. And so I feel like, alongside the educational side of it, if you're going to university, specialize in something. You know, what is it you want to do? I don't think you should just go to university willy-nilly. One, because you're obviously paying these fees. Two,
crazy
because
fees,
you know, you're not always guaranteed a job when you come out. So I'd say you're better off, what's this thing that they have now? I think it's called apprenticeship degrees or something like that.
Yes.
I'd get some sort of experience alongside my degree, because you need that. When you come out, you're not always guaranteed a job, and a lot of graduates are unemployed. So I'd say that you don't need to go to university, but if you are going, specialize in something. If you want to use university as a place to change your life and put yourself in a new environment, highly recommend, because you're there for 3 years. You know, those 3 years, all the hours that you spend there, the people that you're having conversations with, you're bound to change your life. Bound to. So it depends on how you look at it, but I definitely recommend it. I'm pro university. I would never, you know, talk down on it. Why? Because it changed my life, and I feel like it can change a lot of people's lives. So yeah.
That's good. I hope little bro is watching.
I hope you are, little bro.
It's good, man. It's good. It's good. And you even talk about it, how, you know, you developed, you learned a lot, but it's even reflected the fact that you went into business, you know, straight after school, after university. But you're also doing some bits whilst at university, the sports stuff and the drinks as well. I believe. So let's touch on those businesses first. Like, what were they? And let's start there.
Yeah. So I always had, even when I was rapping or whatnot, I always had these ideas of like, I showed my man them from the ends, and I'd show them like, you know, this is something we could start, this is something we could do. So I've always had these sparks of inspiration that I just want to do things, you know. There's more to this life, but it wasn't really going anywhere because, you know, they didn't see the vision like that. And so when I went to university now, I remember we was all in a room. It was me and like 5 of my other people that I went to university with, and obviously Ethan was there as well, my close boy I was talking about. And so we was having a conversation, and we was talking about like businesses and whatnot, and then Ethan was like, yeah, I even got this idea, but he kept quiet. He kept quiet about it. So then after, when everyone else left, he came up to me and he was like, bro, like, I've got this idea. It's a phone app, it's a phone app, and it will allow for peer-to-peer betting. So like, say you're Tottenham, I'm Arsenal, and you know, we put money down, and whoever wins out of the game takes all the money. But like, there's an escrow there, and so it's like peer-to-peer betting. It's me against you. It's not, you know, you against the system. And so that was an app that I jumped at that idea. I was like, bro, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe this is not an idea that hasn't happened already. You know, so yeah, we just made it happen from there. Like, and the next day we just got active. We went to this computer science department. We was just like knocking on different doors. We didn't even know what we was doing. We never started a business before, but this was, you know, for us, an idea that could happen. You see what I mean? By like, the idea was in a different place now. Like, I've always had the hunger to, you know, start something, but it was in a different place now. It's with someone that also has a vision, you know, and also can, you know, wants to make things happen. And so we just dived straight in. We was knocking on doors. We was talking to different creatives and whatnot, and we brought that app to life.
Wow,
We spent our whole student loan money on the app, so we was broke students, man. Like, I remember, like, I think I saw like £10 in my account one time, and then I was like, yeah, it was just dark. It got dark, but like, I was investing. You know, I invested everything I had into the app, and it didn't really pay off because the app it needed an iOS version. It needed an iOS version, so yeah, we just
more cost.
Yeah, exactly. So we just ended up creating a sports events company out of that. We started hosting sports events to raise money for the app, to actually build the app. But then we ended up scrapping the app and creating events. So we hosted events to like thousands of like students around the Midlands. We went to Nottingham, Northampton, Coventry, obviously in Birmingham where I was. We were just hosting different sports events, sports days, football tournaments, literally. And it done quite well. Did we turn a profit? Not really, because we was giving out cash prizes to like reward the winners or whatnot. And we was obviously investing into the facilities or whatnot. So we didn't turn a profit, but I learned so many lessons from creating that business. So that's what I did within university. I also started a drinks company. I just had an idea one day I wanted to make drinks, so I started like whipping up drinks in the corner of my kitchen. I took it to university. The people loved it. It was a love drink, but was I turning a profit? Not really. I was just, you know, exerting my energy creating this drink. It had labels, everything. Like, it was, you know, I'll send you a picture so you can put it up for them to see. It was a proper drink. It was a proper beverage. Like, I'm so funny. I just surprise myself with all these ideas sometimes, and it wasn't turning a profit. I was just exerting a lot of energy, not really turning a profit. Left university now, and so that's when I started my creative agency. So when I finished university, I graduated. So you see all the times, my app was called Better Buddy app. And so the sports events company was called Better Buddy Sports. And so during that time, I was like creating the flyers sometimes for like Better Buddy Sports or whatnot. And obviously Ethan saw that creative side of me. And so he one day said to me, he was like, bro, why don't you just start up like a graphics company or like creative agency? You know, use this skill that you have. I was like, oh, bro, that's dead, man. Like, yeah, that's dead, man. I'm trying to, you know what I mean? Like, I want to do other things. Like, my mind wasn't even there. And he was like, bro, like, just get the MacBook, and then at least you have the opportunity to make your money back. And these times it was COVID. So like, I said, you know, why not? Why not take that opportunity? So I bought the MacBook. I used some of my money to buy it. I think my account was kind of low at the time. I bought it and I took the risk, and yeah, it just started paying off over time. The business started, and then I started turning a profit. I finally found a business that started turning a profit. Everything was just profit with that business, innit? After I made the MacBook money back, everything was just profit. So then I started turning a profit, and I was like, okay, this is business. So yeah, that's it.
And I love that. I love it. It's ultimately what's pushing you with all those businesses and etc. is that mentality of just going and getting it.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
And those lessons that you learn and how it builds.
Exactly.
I don't know what the exact stat is, but the averages of someone making it successful of their first thing are very low. But it's like the more and more you try, the more and more you try.
Exactly.
So what would you tell, especially like the youngers, wanting to get into business, wanting to start something, what would you just give them as like a message of advice?
I'd say just keep moving forwards. I mean, whatever idea you have, you know, whether it works, whether it doesn't, never ever see, you know, what doesn't work for you as a loss. Always look at things as a lesson. You know, when I started the Better Buddy app, I thought we was gone clear. But then we went to propose it to investors, and they said, oh, because it's like a betting app, it's got gambling connotations with it, we can't invest, and you'll struggle to find venture capitalists to invest into this app and whatnot. And so that's when we started Better Buddy Sports. We saw it as rather than a loss, we saw it as a lesson, and we created a sports events company, which then started doing well in numbers, in popularity. We're learning lessons, we're learning communication skills, we're learning how to, you know, operate a business, we're opening up business accounts. You're learning all these things. And so then that's what encouraged me, okay, cool, I want to make a drinks company now. And then I started making drinks. And then I've learned a lesson, okay, it's not every business that you're going to exert a lot of energy and make a profit. I didn't turn a profit. And you could look at it and say that I gave up, but no, I think every, you know, leader or like someone that, you know, wants to create something has to know when, you know, something has had its time and know when to move on from something. I feel like it can get very dangerous when you're chasing not a lost dream, but something where you've just got to be able to know when to just nip it in the bud and say, okay, cool, it's had its time, let's move on to something else. And so that's what I did. And so I'd say any young person starting up a business, use your past experiences as lessons. You've never taken an L, you've never taken a loss. It's always a lesson for you to get better, for you to get progressively better and improve. And over time, you will turn a profit. It's just the nature of life. You know, things will always get better. Like I said, you see when we was talking before and I was talking about the charts, the stock charts, the crypto charts, whatnot. Every chart has a consolidation period. And I want everyone to know this. Every chart has a consolidation period. And then it shoots off. It has that stratospheric experience where it's like everyone's like hyped and, you know, this is popping. And then it goes down a little bit and then it consolidates. It doesn't go back to where it was before. It finds a new low. You're getting better over time. And then it goes again. Like Bitcoin, go and study Bitcoin. And it's like, even in life, you know, you have that period where you're consolidating. You know, I don't know, let's use followers, for example. Your followers are consolidating at like 2,000. You're thinking, I'm churning out so much content. I'm churning out all this content. Why is it not moving? All of a sudden, one video, pew, you're gone. And then you start consolidating again. But you found a new low. You never go back to that 2,000 followers. You never ever do. It's rare. I think it hardly ever happens. You find a new low, consolidate. Next thing you know, 100k followers. But people think it happens overnight. In this microwave generation, everyone wants things now. But
it's really interesting in what you say, and I think I totally agree with the fact that you need to know when you call it a day on certain things, and if something's not working, it's either stopping or finding a new way to do it.
Exactly.
For you, what is your way, like when it was with the drinks business or when it was with the Better Buddy, when did you know it was time to call it quits? Did it just feel natural, or was it like there were certain things that were happening that you're like, okay, I need to call it quits here. Let's try something new. I
think it's a bit of both. It felt natural. I didn't feel like, I feel like, you know, internally if you can put more effort into something. You will feel that guilt You'll feel that element of guilt. You definitely will. If you know that you can put more effort into something and you're not doing it, there's a difference. But you know when it's time to call something quits and move on to something else. It will just feel natural. It will come natural to you, and you won't feel that element of guilt because, you know, if you truly and I had like a true belief that these things would work out. But then it got to a point where it's like, okay, this is not turning a profit. This is going to take this amount of production. How passionate am I about this? You have to take all these things into consideration and just call it quits. You know? I
completely agree. When I first started content creation, I started it last year, and at first I was doing coffee shop reviews. It had the little, it went like this, and I was like, oh, it's going down. But I thought, enough is enough now. Let me try something new. Exactly. This was ultimately what I wanted to do.
And look now.
And then now we're working.
It's all progression. You know, you learn.
That's why I love that quote: progression, not perfection. Progression, not perfection. Look at everything as a stepping stone, and keep it going. So let's talk about it. As I just mentioned there, content creation. You're out here on the net, sharing wisdom, sharing life. What made you want to start?
So, you know, like I mentioned, obviously I was rapping before, so I know that I just have this thing when I talk, people just listen. And so I was literally putting quotes on I had a private story, it's called Florts, so Flo's Thoughts. My private story was called Florts, and I'd literally just post stuff in there, and people would be like, damn, like every year when a new year would come, people would be like, oh, because I put Florts version 2, they'd be like, oh, I can't believe this is there's a new one coming out, so people were looking forward to the quotes or things that I'd put on my private story. And so one day, one of my boys, he said to me, he said, bro, why don't you just start making content? A lot of people, this would help a lot of people, you know? I was like, nah, man, the same thing. You see, when Ethan told me to start up F Graphics, my creative agency, I was like, nah, man. You put things, that's what we do as humans. We just put things off. But people can also see when there's good in you. You know, people that have genuine intentions for you. And so I just like to listen. I like to, you know, study what they're talking about, but also take it on board because they're not saying it for no reason.
Exactly.
Another girl, one of my other friends, one girl I know, Grace, big up Grace, she was like, why don't you just why don't you post content? Why don't you, So it was a common thing that I was hearing, and after a while I said, me, TikTok, me doing videos. I was like, you know what, cool, let's do it. So I just started doing it. At first I felt so awkward, my stomach would churn when I was doing it. You can literally go back, if you don't want to go back, you watch one of my first videos, I was like,
the one in the car.
Yeah. It was so awkward. Even me looking back on it, I was in such an awkward position. I felt awkward doing it. But now look, it just comes naturally to me. And even speaking at a camera, before when I was speaking, I had to literally chop every single video up, every single bit of content, because I was either speaking with a lot of slang or stuttering a lot. I'd stutter a lot because I'm trying to say something in a certain way, but it's just not coming out. And so that's how it started, and I knew I had a good message to give, great messages, great advice for young people, and it just started blowing up. I had loads of viral videos. You know, it's a blessing. I've managed to change a lot of lives. I get a lot of people that stop me on the street and say, just keep doing what you're doing, bro, just keep doing what you're doing. And it's nice, it's always nice to know that this is actually working, because that was the vision that I had to I didn't put content out for people to know me. I put content out to change lives. And so it's nice to know that it's actually helping people.
100%.
I think it's one of the greatest feelings you could ever have.
I can imagine. It
warms my heart, literally.
It's amazing that's the feeling that you get off it. There's one video that I know that has gone crazy online, and it's the one where you're talking about if you're 20 to 30 or if it's 25 to 30. How old are you first?
I'm 26.
You're 26. Now, how are you telling people 25 to 30, 20 to 30? But the thing is that you're saying a message and you're not just waffling. It's coming with things. So what would you put that down to? And is it just, again, that idea of life experience, or how are you giving out messages to people older than you at your age?
No, I completely understand. So I was 23 giving that advice to 20 to 30 year olds. It comes with life experiences. So it's you know, anyone can jump on the internet and say anything. But through, I guess, the raw nature of my expressions, you know, the facts that I'm speaking about, I use my own life examples too. I feel like a lot of people resonate with that, and it just kind of just goes off. I just because anyone can literally jump on the internet and say what I'm saying, but people,
but they can't. But they can't.
Because
it's about the way that you speak with purpose.
Exactly.
And it's the way that you put things together, and it's in such a way. So interesting. 23 years old, being able to get your message off across like that. When we're talking about it, how do you deal with it then? Because you're out here on the net talking about having faith, believing in yourself, how to conduct yourself. how does that feel for you? Do you feel like, does it hold a burden on you? And how do you manage to stay so like belief in your own life that you can go out and give those messages so consistently as well?
Yeah, it's tough because, you know, sometimes life will throw things your way in order for you to use it to then propel people to greater heights too. Because I had one video when I was trying to get my, when I was in the process of getting my first property deal, and I was like, yeah, have faith, it's easy. I've been telling people to do it for a while. So have faith, yeah. I'm so optimistic. Whatever I do, I know that this is something that I'm doing. And so I didn't get that deal. That deal actually fell through last minute. It fell through literally 2 weeks before we're meant to exchange contracts for the property. So I lost the deal. I had a huge pot of cash now, including investors' money. And I'm like, shit, like all this faith that I've been talking about, like I genuinely thought I was gonna get the deal. And this is what I mean, like you have to use your experiences as lessons 100. And never a loss. So then with that, I said, okay, cool. Like I can't just sit here and cry. You know, because it was a very dark time. I'm not gonna lie, like it was dark. Like I talk about these situations, I just laugh about them. But you've got like 6 figures worth of cash, and not all of it is yours. And you could potentially just put yourself in a hole of debt. Like it's not a joke. And yeah, it was dark, but it's a different type of darkness because we're not living in the hood no more. But this is business darkness. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like, but that's another thing. People always feel like problems will just. You never get problems in life, but problems always exist. Whether you get good problems or bad problems, that's another thing.
Nice one.
So cool. So then in like 3 months time, 4 months, I was still searching for deals. And then I came across this deal, but it was up in Leeds. And then funny enough, my business partner, who joined me along the way, he knew someone up in Leeds. And so he encouraged us. He was like, yeah, this is a good steal. So then we bought it. But it's like that process from not getting a deal, from having a deal, losing a deal, to getting the deal, that's a testimony. And then so I shared that online. I said, you know, I'm on the internet telling everyone to have faith. Yeah. You know, I'm the face of faith online, like for young people or whatnot, like if you want to call it that. And mine kind of dwindled that time when I lost my deal. I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? I have all the faith. I've been using, you know, all my principles that I'm tweaking about, and it didn't work. But it did. I needed to give that testimony out to people. So it's like, a lot of your lessons are also not for yourself. It's also for you to share with other people. So it's like, I can then become a teacher of my experiences and help people learn from that. So yeah, it's deeper. It's actually deeper. So when you said that, that's what I was thinking. It's like, yeah, there's a burden of me always like, you know, preaching, like having faith or whatnot, and I need to live up to that expectation. But it's also a good thing because I get to use my experiences as testimonies that this is actually works and it's a real thing. And you know, because if I just stayed there and said, okay, cool, I've lost the deal, you know, that's it, it's game over now, we're done. Let's wrap it up now, no more content.
See you later.
Like, I'd be, you know, I wouldn't be living my truth. But because I carried on and I saw it through and I managed to get myself a deal, it's like it gives people hope. Is 100. Basically what I'm trying to say. So yeah, man.
And it's incredible that you can take those and then present it in such a way that's, you know, giving people hope, inspiring people. Yeah. Let's talk about one last thing for the content creation section. You mentioned floats, yeah? Yeah. How'd you say it?
Floats.
Floats. I've never seen it online. When's it dropping?
Yeah, no, it's not dropping. It's like, it was a private story. It was a private story, literally, just me, because I have a lot of thoughts. I think a lot. And
the New Year's one though. The New Year's one. Yeah, remember the one that you did at the start of every new year? Version 1, version 2, right?
Yeah.
Are we going to see that one?
Nah.
Not coming.
Yeah, that's not coming out. But like, it was literally it was just for like members. It was like a little members club on my Snapchat. Yeah. And people just loved it, man. So it's literally everything that I'm speaking about online is what I used to speak about on Snapchat. It's the same thing. Yeah.
Rap, uni, businesses, content creation. Now we're at the property game. Yeah. Doing your thing in it, you're killing it. So tell us a bit about that, where you're at in that stage, and also what made you want to get into it.
Yeah, I mean, property from young is something that I've always wanted to do. For me, it was always like how. You know, the how was the big question because once again, my upbringing, we didn't come from that. I grew up in council housing. I grew up in a very deprived environment, Newham. I grew up like that. So it's like, how am I going to buy a house? How? Like, you know, but I always saw myself just owning loads of property. It's something I just always saw myself doing. And so it's something that my boy Ethan and Aaron, that's something that they've been doing for a while. But even when they was doing it, like I'd admire it from afar and I'd say, okay, I'm going to get into this one day. But you see, one thing that us beings do, we just leave. Like when you say one day, that day might never come.
It might never come. Yeah.
And so like what I was doing is like, okay, one day, I'm just seeing what they're doing. I'm just inspired. I'm admiring it from afar. Like these lot are doing like multi-6-figure deals, multi-million-pound deals or whatnot.
Sick, man. Sick.
And so it's like, I'm inspired. I'm in awe. And so it wasn't until I went Ghana. I lived in Ghana for like 5 months. It was meant to be longer, but I was with one of my aunties, my great auntie Lucy, and she was like, when you go back to London, just work hard. And she made me realize the opportunity that's obviously within the UK, and I can't deny this. Obviously, my agency, I was working on it out there, but it's like there's opportunity here, and property is something I've always wanted to do. But if I stay in Ghana, how am I going to do property in Ghana? Like I could do it out there, but the opportunity is here. Let me smack it down here and then go back. So that's when I said to myself, okay, cool. This is something that I've been trying to do. I've been wanting to do. Let me go back and make it happen. And so I've been learning about property for time. Like obviously my boys are in it. I'm always hearing what they're talking about. I'm always learning. And I joined my boys' mastermind whilst I was in Ghana or was it before? I don't know, but I've been in Ethan's mastermind for a while. So I'm just learning, soaking up all this knowledge. You're seeing people that look like you, or like people that have come up similar to you, buying houses. People just buying houses. So I was like, this is something that I can do. And this is the how. This is the how now. So like watching Ethan and Aaron do what they do taught me the how. And so I just needed to now, that same mentality that I've had. You see that same mentality we're talking about, that risk mentality. It's all the same thing. Now I said, okay, I'm going to buy a house. So I just took it upon myself. Obviously I had my own, capital, but like, I guess it's always better to leverage capital or whatnot. So then that's when I went online. I started, raising finance, raising investors. And obviously because I've built this online personality, I'm trusted online, people trust me or whatnot. And so, I just managed to raise the funds, get myself a JV partner, and buy the property. Because I said I wanted to buy a house. Literally, like it sounds so easy, and I'm not gonna make it seem like it's easy because it's not.
Yes.
But it's that same, and that's why like it's so good that I've even covered that journey, because I don't want people to think I just woke up and said I want to buy a house. It's that same risk-taking mentality from all these businesses, all them lessons. It's like, I'm going to buy a house because I want to do it. I can do it. I know I can do it. I have the belief because I've done stuff in the past. I'm going to go buy a house. And then I bought a house. But I still had that moment that tested my faith that I was talking about before. It tested my faith.
How bad you want it.
Exactly. But ultimately, I still bought the house. So, that's how it's going.
Good, man. I think there's many facets to cover in that whole section. But the whole thing is first that I want to touch on is that learning process. And it's again, when you're saying I just went and bought a house, obviously there's a whole journey back then. There was a whole lot of learning you did.
Yeah, most
again,
definitely.
it's that mentality to just go get it.
Yeah.
When it was the whole learning experience, what was that like for you? You joined your boys' mastermind class, but what else could you do? What else could you do for people who are trying to get into that game? There's like other courses, or is there like live events? Is it networking? Like what else helped benefit you?
So I guess obviously I'm making it seem like I just joined the mastermind and bought property, but like my learning process was almost, my boys are almost like a soundboard or like mentors to me. Obviously they don't charge me. Obviously I pay for my boys' mastermind, but like if I got a question, I ask. And I have that access around me. So I guess let's call it networking. You have to have people around you that are doing what you want to get into. And so if you are trying to get into property, you need to be surrounding yourself with people that are involved in that. So it becomes your norm. It becomes a normal conversation to have and speak about houses and buying houses. Because it's not buying a house to some people seems like, this dream, thing to do. And it's obviously still a dream. But then when you're around people that are buying multiple, it becomes a norm. It's a good norm. Let's not shy away from that. And it's good to have those type of conversations. I didn't necessarily buy any courses. The mastermind. I was just inspired, and I just said I'm going to buy a house, and I went and bought a house. Literally, nice. I'm making it sound like it's easy, by the way, but I hope that everyone understands that it's very hard. And I'm just a risk taker, as we've learned from the previous conversations that we was having. So I just dived in and said I'm going to do it because that's what I saw. My boys, that's what my boys were doing. So I guess to answer your question, get yourself around that, networking events, do a course if you want to. I'd say just getting yourself around people that are doing it and allowing yourself to see that, go out on viewings, put yourself in that environment, immerse yourself wholly in the nature of that field, and everything it just becomes a norm. It doesn't become something that, you know, seems so far-fetched.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think what's really interesting is, despite them being your boys, they're also playing that way of like a mentorship role.
Yeah.
And I think it's not saying that you had to do it in this instance, but that idea of being able to humble yourself when you're trying to learn, when you're trying to grow, and being willing to allow someone to play that mentorship. It's not about knowing it all. It's about being willing to listen to advice and stuff, etc. I think that's super, super important. What you're doing with your property game is that you're doing a lot of it remotely.
Yes.
So you have a property up north.
Yeah.
You're down south, but you're doing it remotely. So like, how is that whole process? I can imagine the challenges are endless.
Bro, the challenges are crazy, man. You obviously, where you're not there, and it's, you know, it's all remote. You're having to trust someone from afar, and obviously that's never an easy thing to do, because people can literally go in your house and do anything they want. So that's why you have to have good, you know, interpersonal skills. You got to be able to understand people, read people quite well over the phone, and, you know, I guess over video call or whatnot, and just kind of understand the type of person you're dealing with, because it's not everyone that you're going to let in your house. There's some people that I've just said, nah, you know what, I don't want to give you the job, and I've given it to someone else solely because of like just a gut feeling that I've had.
Character.
And exactly. Like some, I think one decorator, he was like, yeah, I'll do it for this amount of price, and then he just kept lowering his price, and I was like, if you really respect your craft, you ain't gonna keep lowering your price and be desperate to take on this job. You'd be like, okay, cool, you know, go give it to someone. Go give it to someone else. But so that's what made me not like choose that person to decorate the house, and I went and chose someone else. It's just those little things, and I guess, you know, my upbringing as well, being able to read people quite well, and that whole paranoia and understanding and all that stuff, it kind of plays a part now within business, where I'm able to read people quite well. So yeah, it's been a challenge trying to develop property remotely, but well, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it once again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Guys, make sure to check out Obed's page on Insta, TikTok. There is so much content, so much valuable information to learn about the property game and what he's doing there. So there's more into it. Okay, to go into the next and sort of final section, it's probably the most important of them all, The Promise to My Mother, the book that you're creating. Tell us a bit about The Promise to My Mother and the background into it.
So obviously I've written a book based on the story of my life. So with the whole story that I've obviously explained during this chat that we've had, through my harsh upbringing, so the book, in short, is where it started off, where I just gave me the promise to my mother that I would finish education, and that same promise kind of just saw me throughout life in general. Throughout my educational years and that kind of upbringing, because everything was getting thrown at me. So many different things was getting thrown at me, and he like offered me literally a plate to jump on the roads and go the wrong path. But that promise that I made to my mother to finish my education kind of saw me through everything I was doing. And yeah, that's ultimately how the flow of the book. I don't want to get too into it.
Okay.
But the reason why I wanted to write the book in general is because like from young, like when I was going through, even from like primary school, the harsh reality of my upbringing once again. I keep saying it, but like it was dark.
Real, man. It's real, bro. It's real.
I always said to myself, nah, someday this needs to be in a book. Like everything I'm going through it's not something that I need to keep to myself. Some things you need to keep to yourself, but not some things will help change the trajectory of people's lives. And what I want people to take from the book is that, wow, like if he can go through all of this and still come out a soldier and, you know, have this kind of optimistic outlook on life when everything was so dark and everything was against you, I want people to look at that and say, wow, like I can use this to change my life, and this book has changed my life. So that's ultimately why I've written it. It's called The Promise to My Mother, because that was the promise that I made to her, and that was kind of like what helped me change my life when I went to university and met these different kinds of people and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a strong positive message through the darkness of the book.
Personally, I can't wait to look in. I'm going to be interested.
Thank you, bro.
We probably only touched on a segment of the whole journey of it, so it's going to be very interesting to look in with it. So let's talk about, you know, sort of when it's going to be released. When can we see it?
So currently, if there's any publishers watching this, any publishers, please get at me. I'm currently seeking literary agents to help me just mold the book into, you know, the beauty that it needs to be. Because obviously I've done my part as a writer, and I've put my thoughts down on the page, and you know, I've tried to put the book together as best as I can, but I also understand that there's external people that will be able to help me bring this book to life. And so I need that. So if there's any publishers or anyone that watches this, please, I need your help. I'm looking for literary. I have been submitting the book to. I have actually been submitting the book to different.
Man, we're going to enjoy themselves today, can't we?
I have been submitting the book to different publishing agencies, but I haven't had the best of news yet. So yeah, that's what I'm currently doing. So I don't know when the official date will be. Hopefully, somewhere. Yeah. Hopefully.
If that's not the beauty of coffee in a chat, then I don't know what is.
Hopefully somewhere next year, God willing. But as for now, I haven't got a date. I'm still looking for publishers. So if you're a publisher, please message me. Drop me a message.
Nice. Listen, Obed, what else can we look out for with you? Is there any other projects on the way, sort of content, or what's next that we can see coming up for you?
I mean, I'll always be creating content. Content is something I'll always be creating. So you can follow me on all social platforms at Obed Donkoh, Donkoh. As for projects, just keep moving forward with the property projects. Literally, that's what I'm honing in on. That's what I'm trying to. That's where my focus lies. That's going to be me going forward.
Family, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast.
It's all good, bro. It's always a pleasure, man.
Absolute pleasure,
Always a pleasure, bro.
My bro. Listen, that was Coffee in the Chat. We out. Woyo.